Hello. I think a lot of people, when they start getting into philosophy, come into a position that you're in. You start off your video talking about morality and right and wrong, which I barely even talked about in the previous video, so I don't know how you really derived that except from the title itself, which really also didn't have a whole lot to do with the substance of what was being said in the video. And before I feel like I can even discuss morality with you, I have to feel that we're on a similar plane of concept in differentiating concept from reality, or let's say the physical universe. Now, it's been said that perception is reality and that the physical universe is reality, and I will acknowledge that both of these usages of the word reality are correct in both of these terms. So to differentiate from these two different things, all concepts, things inside the head, be considered noumena, while everything outside our body is considered phenomena. So I would like to stress the point that I'm trying to make a difference between thoughts, concepts, perception, noumena, anything inside the head, from phenomenon, the physical universe, nature, physical matter, forces, energy. Because if you're wanting to talk about reality and have a true, virtuous, honest perception of reality, I think, based on all the evidence presented to me, and in which I will display, that there is a difference between concept and reality, and though our existence happens within our brain, our perceptions do define our noumena, but they do not define the phenomena. And if your perceptions, your noumena, are not in alignment, in fidelity, in truth, in correlation with the phenomena, then you are living a lie. Because you cannot both be living a falsehood and also live an existence which differentiates from the true nature of the physical universe. Now, the second thing you started talking about was distinction and how all distinction is conceptual. Let me put that to bed right now. Now, I understand why you think that all distinction is conceptual, because our existence is inside our head, but I think that I understand this on a different level than you're understanding now, which I'm hoping to lead you to. Well, I put forth water. Water in different temperatures is steam, water, or ice. Now, before there were any humans on the planet, and way after all the humans are gone, water will still take these three distinct forms whether anyone is here to observe that or not. So certain distinctions do exist in the physical universe independent of our conception. And again, this has very little to do with morality. We need to get your observation in tune before we even start discussing morality. Then the next thing he said was that if things are clear and defined, that leads to preconceived notions. And I somewhat agree with that, especially when it comes to morality, because that can lead to dogmatic thought and it gets people killed. But when it comes to the scientific method and careful observation and shared research and study and peer-reviewed research, at some point we have to say, yeah, we've discovered some consistencies about the physical nature of the universe. And one thing that went off like alarm bells was in my video I specifically talked about dreams, and then you came back with how when you're dreaming, that is your reality and that is your perception and that's real to you. No, that's bullshit. It's just a dream. That's just chemical shit going on in your brain. That's part of the noumena I'm trying to get you to differentiate from the physical universe. Because when you're dreaming, you're not in dreamland, you're still on Earth and you're asleep. You're a human body made of the same chemical substance that you're made of now in a sleeping state. The Earth is still spinning. Reality is still going on. Almost every single thing I'm trying to get you to differentiate from is still happening when you're asleep. Only by being able to distinguish between concept, perception, noumena from phenomena and the physical nature of reality can you start to isolate your thoughts and concepts and then start to dissect them and examine these ideas for their truth value and start to see how they correlate with the consistent nature of the physical universe. Because the physical universe's consistent nature is much more defined, clear, much better in our understanding and our faith and our knowledge of what we've observed and experimented on than any one single perception or five senses. And only by being able to extract concept and opinion and separate them from claims which are factual or false, and then verifying those claims with other people who are observant and also making claims. We're talking the entire scientific community on every level in every field. Nothing about thoughts or concepts are as concrete as matter and energy and the physical nature of the universe, which everything in the universe is made out of, including ourselves. The concept is where all the fantasies lie, where all the lies exist, where everything that can be false or wrong, all of that is conceptual. And only by eliminating all false conception can we start to compare our ideas and concepts with the physical nature of the universe in order to co-align them so that what we consider truth as being fidelity to reality are the same thing. And until you can distinguish the difference, you will never be able to achieve that level of understanding. You said that I said that perceptions are the physical universe. That's the exact opposite of what I'm saying. And that was the final big alarm bell that told me you didn't understand my video at all. And then you talk about how there's no fixed points in reality. And I really don't even know how that's relative. But if you want a fixed point, it has to be in relation to something else. You can't just say here, because not only is the Earth spinning and the Earth moving around the Sun, but the Sun's moving around the galaxy probably moving around other stuff, just moving around other stuff. So to have any fixed point, you have to say this in relation to this, and if you're lucky, in relation to this, so you can triangulate, and yes, you can have fixed points in relative position to other things. And that includes your body when you're sleeping is riding on the Earth's rotation. You're not flying over the magic palace. I mean, I just can't really believe that you think that your dreams are factual reality. And I understand the fascination with dreams, and they're trippy, and they're interesting, and they probably do have a lot to do with our body communicating with our subconscious, with our brain, and reflecting on our experience and our perceptions, and they probably do help define who we are and how we see the universe, but they are not factual reality. They're not like being awake and doing this. Even the best lucid dreamer, I seriously doubt would ever admit or say or confess that they are in their dreams as they are in reality, in every sense and on every level, and can remember and act and function and have a historical past from when you were a child to however old you are, and have went to school and watched TV and all that stuff. And if they say they did, they're a fucking liar. This is why it's important to differentiate, because if you can't differentiate and you're even lower on the understanding scale, then the truth and the lies are just the same thing, and you go around and if you're an attention seeker or a pathological liar or whatever else, you can't differentiate between concept and reality. You probably don't even give a shit about fucking morality, and you'll just go around telling everybody all kinds of bullshit and, steal and lie and cheat and every bad thing. That's why it's important. Do you want to be on the level of truth or the level of not truth? Because, there's a scale here. And I'd say you're somewhere right in there. Okay, so you're on the good side. But if we're going to be on this end of the scale, and we're going to say that we're good and virtuous, and what makes us enlightened and good and virtuous is that we lead honest and truthful existences that correlate with truthfulness to fidelity to reality in every way, then we have to admit that we don't know things, and that we can't know everything, and that we can't be locked into our ideals, and we have to be open to these other ideas, because there are levels of understanding. And I'm not saying that I'm at the end of the levels of understanding. All I'm saying is that I understand where you're coming from, and I can see that you don't understand where I'm coming from, and I can see where you're coming from, and I've been past that already. So I'm trying to help you come to a higher understanding. If you had shown me something that I could take into my perception and say, oh, yeah, well, maybe he's right, but that's not the case. I've already seen the falsehoods of every single thing you said in that video. I mean, do you believe that there's gravity, or do you believe that rocks fly upward? Do you believe that there are chemicals, or do you believe that hocus pocus just makes magic shit out of ambrosia or something? And you got to be able to make this distinction between concept and reality before we can even start talking about political injustices or conceptual falsehoods. And I can understand why you think that perception is reality, because everything that we experience is inside our head. And all of our senses are filters between this outside world and this inside world where we exist. Even everything we see, everything we touch, smell, feel, all over our bodies, whatever. Everything we experience has entered through these senses. And every time we try to correlate with reality, we're using our senses to self-perpetuate understanding and knowledge and accumulate information. And if you get wrong information, then they get into your head, and neurons are made, and pathways are made, and it's hard to differentiate from those ideas. It's easy to see how wrong information leads to wars and shit. But if you start looking at everything around you on the atomic level and start thinking about what is the chemical content of each of these things and the atomic structures of the atoms that are holding these things together, you can narrow the variability of all these things into just a few things and how they relate to each other, and it makes science a little simpler for you to understand. And once you understand the nature of the physical universe, then you can start understanding the chemical nature of our brain and how there's a difference between the physical nature of our thoughts and how they affect reality, and the conceptual nature of our thoughts and how they affect reality. Because they do both affect reality, it's just that one is immaterial and can be changed and corrected, while the other one is material, but it can never be truly corrected, because once bad information is in there, it stays in there, and you have to battle with that. And not many people spend much time doing that, so.